Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to another video, kind of like an extension video of a live stream that I did earlier this morning. And it's because there's more to talk about with this whole thing when it comes to Tensor. It is a subject that I'm very focused on, only because, you know, I do want to kind of see Tensor get up there. And I know a lot of you people might laugh about it, like this guy has faith in Tensor. It's not really having faith in Tensor. It's just really wanting to see exactly what Google's envisionment of what Tensor is and supposed to be. I mean, I am a nerd and I'm very curious about this. Now, will I say that it will reach that pinnacle of what they're claiming that it's supposed to be? I mean, so far right now, it's looking pretty bleak. But if they do make it to that pinnacle point of where they're saying that they're wanting this to go, then, you know, great, because it's a win for us who actually use pixels and, you know, are waiting for Tensor to finally deliver, which, again, like I said, seems pretty bleak. See, in the live stream, I was just basically just throwing out, you know, what is currently in the argument's sake, and I don't think I very much made my point across like I wanted to. So that's what this video is for. But you know what, when it comes to the tech space, and a lot of people have their opinions about things, and one of the most popular opinions is that, you know, Pixels is in fact trying to be like iPhone. And to be honest with everybody, why wouldn't they want to be like iPhone? When you look out in the space today, that is the most popular phone that's out there. I don't care what Samsung can fold in half. I don't care what the coolest tech is like Pixels. I don't care. The realization of things is that when you walk into a Walmart, you walk into a Target, and it's like, you know, 5 to 2 on a ratio standpoint, that 5 people are going to have iPhones, 2 are going to have Samsungs, right? And if you look at it in that perspective, it's 10 to 1. 10 are going to have iPhones and 1 person is going to have a Pixel. So when you think about that, 5 to 2 for, you know, iPhone and Galaxy, and you know, 10 to 1 on iPhone and Pixels. I mean, that's a clear thing that Apple is the standard. I know some people are probably gonna be like, no, it's not, because again, we kind of let our emotions get involved of the brands that we back and that we like. But the realization is that iPhones are more popular and they're sold. And if Pixel is trying to emulate the same thing, where now they're building everything in-house, obviously tells you that, you know, even though they are a pretty wealthy company, right? The G company underneath Alphabet, and we always assume this thing of, because they're, you know, they're wealthy, that like they don't need to care because they have money in play. Their breadwinner for money is search and advertisement, and we can always point to all these things. But if they didn't really care, if they were okay with making a sloppy mess, they wouldn't even attempt to try and do something similar to what Apple's doing with the iPhone. That is the realization of a lot of things. They are attempting to do what Apple does. And whether you're a Pixel fanboy and you don't want to take that and you want to say, no, they're trying to do their own thing, like, then, you know, I don't know where you have your head at. Your head must be in the cloud, in Google's cloud, because you are blinded by it. And I may be kind of aggressively approaching this subject like that, but that's the realization of what it is. Pixels is emulating iPhone because iPhone sells. Because it doesn't matter. The A Bionic whatever chip could have these issues, A, B, C, and D. And what happens in that scenario every time with the tech enthusiasts who report on YouTube and other various platforms, it gets a pass, right? I've said this many times in previous videos. It gets a pass. And if it gets a pass, then of course Pixel would kind of want that same thing, because Pixels is heavily criticized. It doesn't matter what Pixel does nowadays or what features that it brings, whether it's helpful or it's playful, it will get criticized all the way down to the core of its bones. I mean, it's always in the line of fire. The execution squad is always ready to put one in it, where, you know, Samsung and all them, they are just like, you know, they're given that pass. And so that's really what it is. That is the essence of all of it. Why does Tensor exist? Why do they keep putting stock in Tensor? Because they are trying to sell units. Because Apple can do it, they figured that it's a formula that works. And so they are trying to emulate a version of Pixel that, a version for Pixel that is similar to iPhone. And if you look at iPhone, it's in-house. From the hardware to the software, and Google's taking the same reins. From the hardware to the software, in-house. It is so easy to say, go back to Qualcomm. But we all seen what happened when Pixels was on Qualcomm. Sure enough, people can point out, well, it can do the AI things and even faster. Okay, that's that. One big thing here is that when you're opening Facebook, when you're opening all the normal apps, no one's gonna notice. It's a lot of tech enthusiasts who are conveying this message across the board, because it seems like it's a thing that people tend to kind of always want to point out. And the truth is, which I think some people may be afraid to say it, so I'll just say it. The reason why most people nitpick Pixels is because they want those crazy features. They want the crazy AI. They want all those things, and they want it at a cheaper price. So if you pick a target and point out 100 reasons why it's not that great, because if you notice in a lot of people's comments, they will say why Tensor is not all that great, but then it comes at one little part that seems to be in just about almost every comment about Tensors being so bad, and that is if it was priced different. And where does the price difference go towards? Lower pricing. And yeah, why not? Take a chance, right? Keep firing shots over at at the Pixel team. Let them know that their product is not all that great, and maybe the next year with the Pixel 11 they'll price it at $499 or $599 or $549, depending, starting out base price, right? I get that strategy. And you know what? I mean, when you look at today with the Pixel 10, it's priced $799 if you buy it outright. You can get great deals on it where it's only like $549 or $582 or $499, or Boost Mobile's $299, which is the lowest price I've seen the Pixel 10 being sold for. That's crazy insane. So yeah, you can actually get them cheap. The starting out price, I feel like that a lot of people don't really focus on all too much. And the reason why is because they're financing. Like, let's not blow smoke up each other's buttholes and be honest about this. Honestly, most people like the finance the phone. You can comment, you yourself, and you know who I'm talking to. You yourself can comment and be like, I bought mine outright. You are one amongst billions of people on the planet. There are people who go the financing options. Maybe they don't want to pay full price today. They could if they wanted to, but maybe they just want to pay over time as they're staying with their service provider. There are people who like their service provider and have no plans in hopping around. Most people that love their carriers love the service they're getting and the plan that they have that they're paying for. They'll finance a phone. They don't care if it's a 36-month contract between them and the carrier for the phone, because they don't have any plans leaving anytime soon, and so they're not shelling out couple of $100 out of pocket when they're making like $18.79 monthly payments. So the core truth behind all of it is, we know, whether you want to accept it or not as a Pixel fanboy, Pixels is emulating the iPhone blueprint of sales, marketing, and creating a fan base. And it's working. That was the one point that I didn't make in my live stream. At least I didn't get to that point. But I did in this video. And if you guys agree with me, let me know. If you guys disagree with me, tell me why. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and, any questions you guys may have, or even emotional outbursts. Drop them in the comment section of the video. And thanks for checking out my video on this coverage of Google Pixels and more Pixel videos in the future. But until then, aloha.